The guttural growl of the engine was the first thing to pierce the quiet morning. A metallic shriek that tore through the suburban peace. My heart stopped. It wasn't just a truck. It was a bulldozer. A giant, yellow monster. Its steel blade poised like a predator's jaw, right at the edge of my lawn. And my 3-year-old, Leo, was still asleep in his bedroom, just 30 feet from that monstrous machine. I felt the floor tremble with each shuddering rumble. What in God's name was happening? I threw open the front door, the screen slapping against the frame. And there she was, my neighbor and the self-appointed queen of our homeowners association, Mrs. Karen Sterling. Her face was a mask of furious self-righteousness, her perfectly coiffed hair unmoving in the slight breeze. "I told you, Sarah," she shrieked, her voice a piercing needle in the air. "The shed violates Code 7.4b. Today, it goes. No more excuses. My shed, that little tool shed, neatly tucked away in the corner, a place I built to store a few toys and gardening tools. I had just received a final warning letter 2 days ago. 2 days. My God. The audacity. The sheer, unmitigated evil of this woman. She was a petty tyrant, drunk on her small measure of power. But this was an act of war. A sickening panic surged through me. My hands shook as I gripped the door frame. "Karen," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Leo is sleeping inside." I watched her face, searching for a flicker of humanity, a single spark of empathy. There was nothing, just a cold, hard, calculating gleam in her eyes. "Then you should have moved him," she spat, a cruel, triumphant smirk playing on her lips. "Rules are rules." The bulldozer operator, a young man with a defeated look in his eyes, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. But he didn't stop. The rumbling continued. My knees felt weak. A scream was building in my throat. But it got stuck there, choked by pure, mind-numbing fear. How do you reason with a sociopath? My vision blurred. A single tear escaped, hot and stinging, as the blade began to lower, scraping against the asphalt with a tortured metallic groan. "Stop. Just stop it," I finally screamed, my voice raw and cracking. My cry was echoed by a woman's terrified wail from inside, the sound of Leo waking up, confused and frightened. The bulldozer paused. Karen just stood there, arms crossed, the smirk widening. "Now you know what happens when you ignore a formal warning, dear," she lectured, as if she were a schoolmistress and I a disobedient child. My breath came in ragged, shaky gasps. My mind, which had been a whirlwind of fear, suddenly went cold and clear. I looked at the young man in the bulldozer, then back at Karen, and then to the security camera I had installed on my porch last month. A little blinking red eye that had been recording the entire spectacle. An unexpected wave of calm washed over me. This wasn't a fight I was going to win with pleading. No, this was a battle of information, of proof, of a carefully laid trap I didn't even know I was setting. "Karen," I said, my voice steady now. "I have that entire conversation on video. Every word. The part where you acknowledge my child is inside. And your response." Her smirk faltered. The smug confidence she wore like a second skin cracked just a little. A nervous tick started at the corner of her eye. "You're bluffing," she sneered. But the conviction was gone from her tone. "The cameras are for show." Just then, a car pulled into my driveway. It was Mr. Henderson, a man who had been a fixture in our neighborhood for decades. A quiet, kind man who kept to himself. But as he stepped out of his car, he wasn't just a quiet neighbor. He was wearing a crisp suit, and in his hand was a briefcase. He was the most unlikely twist I could have ever asked for. "Sarah," he said calmly, walking towards me. "Do you need a witness? I think I can provide a few more things than that." Karen's face went from a sneer to a mask of sheer terror. Mr. Henderson was a retired prosecutor, a man who'd put away more white-collar criminals than anyone in the state. And she knew it. The very foundation of her carefully constructed power began to crumble. "Mr. Henderson," she stammered, her voice suddenly small and reedy. "This is a private HOA matter. Please. It stopped being a private matter the moment you sent a piece of heavy machinery towards a home with a child inside. Karen. Mr. Henderson said, his voice as sharp and precise as a scalpel. He pulled out his phone and started recording. It's a criminal matter now. Reckless endangerment. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And who knows what else we'll find. I just stood there, clutching the door frame, watching the tables turn in real time. My breathing was still shallow, but the terror was being replaced by a fierce, burning anger. A car horn blared, and another neighbor, Mark, ran over. What's going on? He asked, his face a mixture of confusion and shock as he took in the bulldozer and Karen's panicked expression. She sent a bulldozer to tear down my shed. I explained, while my son was sleeping. A collective gasp rippled through the small crowd of neighbors that was now gathering. The whispers started. Is that true? A bulldozer? Oh my God. That's insane. Karen, sensing her carefully curated reputation was in freefall, tried to regain control. This is a gross exaggeration. The shed is an eyesore. It's not a deadly weapon. But no one was listening. Mr. Henderson had already made a phone call, and I could hear him calmly, methodically, detailing the events to the police dispatcher. The bulldozer operator, sensing the shift in power, turned off the engine. The sudden silence was deafening, broken only by my son's whimpering from inside the house. I rushed in, scooped him up, and held him close, burying my face in his little shoulder. He was okay. He was safe. The full weight of what had almost happened crashed down on me, and I started to shake uncontrollably. When I came back out, the police had arrived. 2 cruisers, their lights flashing blue and red, painting the quiet street in an eerie light. Karen was still standing there, but the arrogance had been replaced by a desperate, trapped look. Mr. Henderson was calmly presenting the police with his phone, showing them the video he'd taken. Mark and other neighbors were corroborating the story, their voices a righteous chorus. She knew the child was inside. One neighbor said, I heard her say it myself. Karen was finally silent, her jaw slack. The police officer, a stern-faced woman, took my statement, her eyes full of quiet concern. You did the right thing, she whispered to me, as they led Karen away in handcuffs. The last thing I saw was her collapsing into the back of the cruiser, a defeated, empty shell of the woman she had once been. The Queen was dethroned. The HOA board, shaken by the incident and the criminal charges filed against their president, held an emergency meeting. The rules Karen had used to terrorize the neighborhood were overturned, and a new sense of community blossomed in the wake of her downfall. We all realized that we had let one person's pettiness get out of hand, and it had taken a nearly tragic event to wake us all up. The shed was safe. My son was safe. The peace of our neighborhood was restored, but it had come at a cost. We had to face the reality that a little bit of power can be a dangerous thing in the wrong hands, and that sometimes a loud and dramatic confrontation is the only way to expose the truth. We had to fight back, not with anger and threats, but with truth and courage. Now the neighborhood watches each other's backs. A newfound solidarity forged in the face of what could have been a disaster. The whispers are gone, replaced by a sense of shared responsibility. The dust has settled now. The bulldozer is gone. Karen is gone. But the echo of that morning lingers. It's a reminder of what happens when we stay silent, when we let fear dictate our actions. My son still sleeps soundly, and I still have my shed. But now I know that they aren't just things I own. They are symbols of a fight I won, of a community I helped reclaim. But it leaves me with a question, a deep, lingering question that I can't shake. Was it an overreaction? Was I wrong to push back so hard? Was there a more peaceful solution? One that didn't end with a neighbor in handcuffs? Or was this the only way to stop a bully? What do you think? In a situation like this, where is the line between fighting for your rights and taking things too far?